guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to a collab hop. We do a lot of those, but this one is with some of the former members I had when I was affiliated with Not Too Shabby, and we are using their products again. Or I guess I should say, I'm no longer on their team, but some of the folks on this hop still are. We're using Love is a Gift, which is, I believe that it came out in January. I'll throw links below. We're using both the paper from this and the ephemera. And we're going to do a fun fold that is new to me. So let me take you just through some of the dimensions and whatnot going on so that hopefully that can help you sort of decide if this is a fold that's fun for you. Some folks have said that some of the folds are complicated to the point that they may or may not be fun for them, but I think this one's pretty straightforward. So this is 11 inches, so just half of an 8.5. Well, I should say it's 11 by 5 1/4, so it's like 2/3 of an 8.5 by 11. Then we have sort of a standard matting panel here that is 5 by 3 3/4. So that's basically giving us our nice 1/4 inch border here, and this is where you would write your message. This card was inspired by somebody else. I will put their link down below from the Crafter's Castle, although I've simplified the card quite a bit, more to be in alignment with my taste, but you can do it either way. But I always like to give credit when somebody else has sort of inspired me to do something. Anyway, you'll need whatever ephemera you want to work with. You will also need a base piece. This is 6 by 3, scored at the 3 inches. So it's basically like a mini 3 by 3 card. And then the scoring on this is at 1 3/4, 3.5, 5 3/4, and 7. And I didn't really even burnish that. This is Spellbinder's cardstock, which is pretty sturdy, so I didn't have to do a ton of working with that. But basically, this creates sort of a W fold, so it's like a Z fold stacked essentially. And then this little card is going to just glue on here once we're all together. And that's how the card's going to go together. But we will see that as we progress. Then we have two layering pieces for the mini card. These are 2 3/4. I like this love topology paper or typographic paper, I guess you'd say. But use whatever appeals to you. And then you need four pieces for here that are 1.5 by 5. And I grabbed some. I wanted to grab like to pull a brown in because I feel like this whole ephemera pack and paper collection is very pink and brown. So, like this kind of a color vibe. So, I thought that would be good. So, basically, these pieces just mat on here. I'm thinking I want to use the pink sort of on the inside. And then this, this love is a gift is sort of our focal point. And then I'm going to flip it and use the other paper here and then use some of the hearts to just sort of collage on top of this. So I think I'm going to set the main card to the side for a moment and just get the layer pieces on here. And I may actually do all my collaging and just give that a minute to dry. So I am going to grab my tape gun. And now since we're doing it for real, we probably should make sure we have these right ways up. Although you could always flip this if you did make a mistake, if you're like me and have a tendency to do that. So that then you're basically just going to center these. And I almost put it on upside down again. Just like that. And then do the same thing for the other piece. There's a really fun happy accent that happened here that I'll show you in 1 second when cutting these papers. So we will then, this is going to be sort of the front piece of the card. So we'll just center that one as well. And the original card also had a mirroring square on the back. Um, and the original card had this panel as just cardstock. So you could put a sort of a hidden sentiment there. Anyway, what I found is when we ground these guys here, right, because we want to kind of ground the tree at the bottom of this pattern paper, you have all these love bits and hearts that are just kind of, sorry, that's a little, Let me hold that up to the camera so it's easier to see. So you see those like little love sentiments are just nicely framing that. So I thought that was a pretty cool thing that just happened to happen. I'm just going to grab a little glue and put this together. With stuff like trees and people, it's often nice to sort of ground them towards the bottom of your card, or you could also ground them in a corner. I'm doing this more in the middle just so that I can take advantage of the love. And then I'm going to grab the hearts. And hearts I never really worry about grounding too much just because, like these aren't we are kind of when we start dealing with hearts we're kind of in sort of more of a whimsical world, and then like it doesn't really matter if gravity applies, but since our people are tend to like look more like real people, thought that would be good. And I like this sort of waterfalliness that you can do with hearts, where you do kind of this thing. And I'm not really planning to use a sentiment on this just because I think it's apparent what holiday it is with all the hearts and the people and the love. And you kind of have a almost sentiment here with the typography paper. Anyway, so this is like what our inside piece is going to look like. And then we just have to put the rest together. And, this is the thing that I really think is awesome about Not Too Shabby, really, is that between the papers and the ephemera collections, like, this card is gonna take us, like, 5 minutes to make. That one's, oh, here we go. We do have a Happy Valentine's Day. I might stamp that on we may stamp that on here quick. I think that would be nice. And let's do it in brown. So I think that would kind of tie in things here. This is Sandcastle, which is a, fairly light brown from Catherine Pooler, but it should be dark enough where we can definitely see it. There we go. And I like that that sort of mirrors some of the colors we see in the actual card base. There we go. Great thing about dye inks are these dry basically instantaneously because they sink directly into the paper. Um, there's not a lot of drying time involved. And really, when you assemble cards like this with the double-sided tape, you don't really have to wait on dry time on them either. And there we go. This is a little uneven. It doesn't bother me too much. I'm much more of a, hey, it's a handmade card. So, like, if it's a little wonky, that's okay. If you're concerned, using wet glue will give you more working time. So then what I'm going to do is the same thing with these 1 inch, 1.5 by 5 pieces. And going to mostly follow the original design of this card. I do want to make sure, since these are words, like making sure that they directionally make sense is probably a bigger deal with typography than with patterns, at least in my opinion. But obviously, do whatever you enjoy. I hope everybody does have a good Valentine's Day. This hop is going live on the 14th, so we will be very much in a Valentine's Day spirit. It's always a holiday I liked a lot because I always thought the whole like exchanging Valentines, like in school as a kid, was just a fun thing. Like it was just a very celebratory holiday. And I mean, I think it fits with my vibe just a lot in that it's a holiday where you can celebrate people, and that's always nice. So I'm just alternating these. And if you're less of a pattern paper person than me, any of this pattern paper you can certainly swap out for ink blends or, solid cardstock or anything like that. So if you wanted to make this um, more subtle, that's certainly something you could do. So there we go. And that means the only piece left is really to get our little V piece attached here. Now, there's two ways you could do this. Once you figure out how far in you want this to be, like that. You could sort of eyeball how much adhesive you need, and we could do this. I think we can continue doing with the adhesive. I think basically we want to lay down like 2 lines of adhesive like that. I don't know if that's read. See, like we want to go not all the way in, but maybe an inch in on this 3-inch card, and that should give us enough adhesive to stick all this together. Um, you do want to be relatively careful because this is definitely like a once it's down, it's going to be down kind of scenario. So we can, and like because I have the sentiment, I think I'm going to slide this up just so that the sentiment is hidden. So I think what I'm going to do is just ground this here, and then we will stick it all down. And you could center this or not, and certainly you can do more embellishments. But this is sort of what our final card looks like. And I always love cards like this that have sort of a hidden element, so when you open them up, they look nice. And because we have this is called a VW card. So because we have this V piece and this W piece, it stands up really nicely. Which so if you were standing up, you see both your message and your primary scene, I think. Your secondary scene you don't really see very much, if you know what I mean. So you have this kind of a look when you're done. So anyway, thanks for dropping by. Thanks for checking it out. If you're interested in the specific papers or not too shabby generally, there are links in the description box, and I will talk to you guys later.